Hi. So tonight I want to speak about choices, opportunities, and the benevolence of the universe. When there has been a series of challenging events or one big traumatic event in our childhood to young adulthood, we have the tendency to have a certain relationship with ourselves and the universe. Very often we make it about ourselves. There is something wrong with us. We don't deserve to have a good life. We created a parental divorce, because, the youngest it happened, actually, the more, self-centered the child is, which is really normal in the first, few years of our life. So we make it about ourselves. It's like, I created this. There must be something wrong with me. I'm not good enough, etc., etc. Or there is, something like very, brutal emotionally that happens maybe at a later time, and, same thing if we are not being empowered and help process, the emotional aspect of it. We will start looking at life, the universe, as a place that is not benevolent. It will take quite some inner work, to come back to loving ourselves and trusting into Source, trusting into God, trusting into the benevolence of the universe. Now, I think a lot of you that are working with me and following me, are in that place where, you have a devotional practice, you've done some work on yourselves, or you are really willing to see things in a new way, because you're really devoted to find your power, to be your power, and to be the change you want to see in the world. So how do we get to that place of observing that, at this point of our lives, when we are in crisis, and I know there's been a lot of turmoil, and the planet itself and, a lot of countries are in crisis, when there is that state of like, oh my God, everything is falling apart, or whoa, this is really re-traumatizing me into, this old wound of mine. It's like, how dare these people do it that way? Don't they know? Couldn't they be more aware, And then suddenly you're realizing that there is an opportunity, and actually that there perhaps even have been a conspiracy for you to get to that place of going like, okay, I've been there before. Am I going to choose to go on that route the same way, which ended up as, disaster or painful or disempowering? Or do I have a chance here to rise to my next level and take that opportunity to really just fly, with golden colors and wide open wings into your next level? Now, you might also be working with things, that, some prayers that you're putting out to the universe, going, well, there is this piece in my life that is still rubbing me the wrong way. It's not quite right, and it keeps presenting itself, and it keeps rubbing me the wrong way. Would you help me with that? And so perhaps it's just a thought, perhaps it's a clear prayer, like, God, Source, help me with that. I give you permission to help me with that. And then you forget that you're putting that prayer in, in that, request out to Spirit. And you go on your merry way. And then a few weeks later, a couple months later, bang, there is this whole drama that comes around. And you're finding yourself going, gasping for air and going like, holy moly, how am I getting out of here unscathed? And maybe you're not supposed to be unscathed. Maybe it was like, okay, maybe I'm just going to burn up like the phoenix. Let it burn like the phoenix, because I'm suddenly remembering that I asked to get to the next level. And so you're coming back into your essence, your truth. You're standing up for what you believe is right. And you're passing the test with flying colors. Do you know what I mean? This past weekend, this lunar eclipse, this full moon in Scorpio, energetically, to me and many people, really felt like the perfect opportunity to do that, to do exactly that. So at this point of the game, we have choices. We have choices, or don't we? We have choices if we've been willing to shake things up a bit. Like, for example, with the somatic release body work, we've, learned that we can let go, release with the breath, like there is movement that can happen that gives us different choices. And it's the same thing with the mental, and it's the same thing with the emotions. Okay, what about if I was doing things a little bit different, instead of staying frozen or stagnant in always the same pattern, because that's what's going to give us the opportunity to choose. And if we have the opportunity to choose, then we have the opportunity to grow. If we don't have the opportunity to choose, then we're stagnant, we're back to square one. So just make sure that you're looking at your situation, looking for, okay, what are my choices? And maybe they're not, outer circumstances choices. They mostly inner choices, different way of perceiving. And then from that perception, different way of presenting yourself and showing up for the outer world circumstances. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Aloha. I'll let you reflect on that.